Okay, lesson 55. Here we go. Division rule for complex fractions. So complex fractions are fractions within fractions, okay, with variables. So lesson 55, and go ahead and write down x divided by m over d. All right, x divided by m over d. So the first thing is this x is really over 1, and then we're dividing by m over d. So you look at the common denominators. Okay, so I have a denominator of 1 and a denominator of d. So the common denominator is d. And we are allowed to actually multiply by d over 1 and d over 1. What this really is d over d. And d over d is equal to 1. So you're not changing the value of the fraction, okay? So you're allowed to multiply by the same thing over the same thing and not change the value. So now what this does is just simplifies, so we don't have fractions within fractions. So I multiply the top to top right here, and I get xd. And I don't need this 1 over 1, or 1. I don't need 1 times 1, all right? Because x over d over 1 is just x over d, okay? So goodbye. And then what happens here when I multiply these together is the d's cancel, which is my goal, all right, to get rid of fractions within fractions. So then it's just over m, and that is my answer. Okay, let's try another one if that was weird for you. Okay, 1 over r divided by 1 over z. So first look at both denominators. So here's the top one, the denominator from the top. Here's the denominator from the bottom. So your common denominator would be rz. You need both of them. So I'm going to multiply by rz over 1 over rz over 1. Because really that's just rz over rz, which is 1. So it's legal, okay? And I'm multiplying. So in this top fraction, we're doing top to top, bottom to bottom. What cancels when I multiply these? The r's. And I'm left with z over 1, because z times 1 is z, divided by 1 is still just z. So the top simplifies to z, okay? Neat. Now on the bottom right here, we're multiplying. What's going to cancel when I multiply these together? The z over the z. And I get r over 1, which is just r. That's so neat. Okay, let's try this. N over A divided by B over D. So look at both denominators. What is my common denominator? AD. So I'm going to multiply by AD over 1 in the top and AD over 1 in the bottom. Okay, so in this whole big numerator, what cancels? A over A, and I'm left with ND, and we don't care about the over 1. And in this bottom loveliness, okay, the D's are going to cancel, and I get BA over 1, which is just BA. All right, you guys. Oh, let's try a harder one. Okay. W over 1 over W plus C. So I like to do W over 1 divided by, so like this little guy, I'm going to put him over 1 over W plus C. So that way the top is a fraction and the bottom is already a fraction, the 1 over W plus C. So my common denominator, I'm looking here and here, right? I'm looking here and here. What is my common denominator? It is W plus C times 1, which is just W plus C, right? So that means I'm actually going to multiply the top by W plus C over 1 and the bottom by W plus C over 1. Sometimes people ask, do I have to write the over 1? The reason that I write it is so you don't get confused where it's multiplying to. It's in the numerator, right, of both of those. So in the top, you guys, nothing is going to cancel here. We're going to multiply straight across, and we get W times W plus C over 1, which I don't need to write. Okay, don't write the over 1. Now over Now I'm going to do this part here, my big denominator. What cancels? Yeah, like everything. There would be a 1 there, but do I really need that? No. So my final answer for this is W times W plus C. You can leave it factored. Yeah, I would leave it like that. What'd you say, Cade? I would leave it. That's all. Let's try this.